Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in on this beautiful Monday afternoon here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Doesn't get any better than this. Welcome to you all, whether you are here in the beautiful islands of the Bahamas or if you're tuned in from elsewhere. A huge welcome to you all. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show. Today is a Masterclass Monday, and once again, we're going to be looking at the Constitution of the Bahamas with Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. Just waiting for him to arrive into the studio. In the meantime, here's how you can get in on the conversation. The telephone numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 801-0271. That's 801-0271. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. If you haven't already done so, please like and share the show. Also coming to you live on rumble.com. That's rumble.com. Look for Global Paradigm Shift, all one word, no spaces in between. And I'd appreciate it if you'd like and follow my channel there. We are also coming to you on Cable Bahamas, channel 974. And you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and follow us there. Last but not least, welcome to all of you tuned in by way of radio, whether it is throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas or anywhere else on this planet. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. So every Monday, we look at the Constitution of the Bahamas. The goal of these Masterclass Monday shows is to give you, the Bahamian people, a better understanding of your rights and responsibilities as outlined in the Constitution of the Bahamas. And the person who serves as our guide through this explorative journey through the Constitution is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. So as we wait for him to make his way into the studio, I'm going to begin the show by, for those of you who may be new around here, I can't assume that everybody here, is a veteran or a regular listener. So for those of you who are new to our Masterclass Monday shows, I'm going to begin the show with this video on making understanding a constitution easy. It's called Constitutions Made Simple.
Okay, so before we talk about what a constitution is, let's first explain why we need one. Let's start by looking at the fundamental things we all need as human beings. These are a voice in the decisions that affect our lives, material well-being such as food, shelter and education, security and protection from violence or discrimination, and recognition and respect as individuals and communities. To help meet these needs, people create governments and delegate powers to them to exercise for the common good of society. The problem, though, is that while governments need powers to perform their functions, history tells us again and again that power without limits can lead to corruption, dictatorship, and oppression. Free, fair, and regular elections might help ensure good government. They allow people to select who they want in power and, over time, to vote out those who perform badly. But we also need some basic rules to control how that power is used, so that those who win elections still have to respect your rights and promote your interests, rather than using power for their own benefit. Just as in a game of football, there have to be rules and a referee. So in a democracy, there must be rules by which all the players are bound. These rules are provided in a constitution. The constitution is a law, but it's not just an ordinary law. A constitution is a supreme law that establishes, organizes, and empowers the government and determines how other laws are made and implemented. It is also more difficult to change than ordinary laws, so that those in power cannot make up the rules as they go along. Football wouldn't be fair if the winning team could change the rules, and democracy isn't fair if those in power can just change the constitution according to their own whim. The constitution harnesses the energy and power of the state, ensuring that the people control the reins. This explains why when people are trying to establish a new, fairer society, one of the first things they do is write a new constitution. This is what Norway did in 1814, India in 1950, South Africa in 1996, and Colombia in 1991. Indeed, nearly all countries in the world have a constitution to establish rules for using power. On the other hand, we've seen that when a democratic government is illegally overthrown, one of the first things the coup leaders do is set their sights on destroying the constitution. They don't want any inconvenient limits on their ability to rule by force. So the constitution both organizes and constrains power. Now, how does it do that? Well, there are several ways. One way is to divide power between different political institutions. For example, sharing functions between a president and a prime minister, or between two houses of a legislature, or between different levels of government, the national level, the regional, state or provincial level, and the local level. A constitution defines the powers of these institutions and regulates the relationship between them. It also ensures that power is rotated. One year we may vote for one candidate or party, but after a few years, their time will be up, and we will have the chance to choose someone else. This means that no one person, party, or institution can accumulate too much power or stay in power too long. It is important to maintain a strict separation between the political institutions on the one hand, such as the elected parliament and government, and on the other hand, the permanent neutral institutions of the state, such as the courts, the military, the police, and the civil service. Constitutions also constrain power by saying what governments must and must not do. For example, a set of constitutional rights may specify that you can't be tortured, that you can't be imprisoned without due cause, and that your freedom of expression can't be infringed. Other provisions may direct the government to provide for basic human needs, such as education, healthcare, sanitation, or housing. Constitutions don't only protect the majority. There may be special provisions for minorities and marginalized groups, for their security, their participation in government, and protections for their identity and culture. Most constitutions also have a nation-building function. They seek to embody national unity and to reflect and declare the identity of the nation and its people. The Constitution announces to citizens, to the government itself, and to the outside world what the nation is, what it stands for, where it has come from, and what its vision for the future might be. A good constitution is just one step along the road to a peaceful, prosperous, and democratic society, but it is a fundamental one. By setting down the rules by which the state should be governed, a good constitution helps to ensure that the democratic aspirations of a people become and remain a reality.
All right, so we see where Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson is now in the hot seat in the studio. Professor, welcome to GPS and another masterclass Monday on the Constitution.
Good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm. Good afternoon, Bahamas. I was listening with interest to the tape that's out there, and you played it, and some very interesting things came to mind. I thought he was talking about the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And the thing is that we have sat on our Constitution for more than 50 years. The people themselves have to know it. Unfortunately, in our case, most do not know. Perhaps 95% or more have no knowledge or understanding of how the country ought to work, how its constitution ought to be. You cannot check a government. Those who you give power to run your national affairs, and you just allow them to run amok, and you do not correct them. The hardest thing for a government to do is to admit error and change. We haven't done that in 50 years. But something is going to happen very soon, which would compel those who have had the authority to face up to harsh reality, and those that have it to face up to harsh reality. Governments have to recognize that you're going to have to take action. See, all the talk shows, I listen to them, and not a single word about the Constitution. I hear them all the time. But I say, where do you get your authority from? You want to run the country this way, that way. We need this, we need that. But no Constitution. So the Bahamian people themselves have been ignoring the Constitution. Now, I am happy to see, and I will always say this, and I hope it improves and gets better, when Her Majesty the Queen passed, the Bahamian people wondered what would their situation be with the monarchy in England. Whether we should continue with the monarchy or whether we should have a different system. There are those who are pushing for a different system. But the Bahamian people don't even know the system what we have.
Wow.
They don't know the rights, the freedoms, and the privileges that this current Constitution offers us. It would be very foolish to go and get into something you know nothing about. And I see where the authorities are stretching their hands out to all these different entities around the world. And Bahamians getting all psyched up about what one is doing in Ghana, what one is doing in Uganda, what one is doing this place, that place, and the next place. All you have to do is check the political history of these nations. I can check Ghana out thoroughly from the time it was a colony to this very day and see what their political history is like, to see what Uganda's political history is like. And there are other countries where Sudan, they're in big trouble today. Many of them are experimenting with what we have had intact from 1729. We had the peaceful transition of an administration. We don't sell that to the world. The unfortunate thing is we don't even recognize it in our own country and give credit where credit is due. Peaceful transition without firing one single shot. Don't mind the noise from them fellows who were talking hard. But when they saw that they lost power and had been voted out, they quietly put the tail between their legs and walked away. I commend them for that. They didn't try to fight and say, I stay and I ain't going nowhere. But you got some wicked people in other places where they say they ain't going nowhere. And they break up the country. We're now concerned about this crime wave that's on now, but not a word from the Constitution. I heard they had some meeting with the Prime Minister, some personalities who were stakeholders.
Right.
But it's the same as if we are any stakeholders. Someone talked about that today on the air. Where is the community? You're talking about crime not being in a particular few areas. It has already spilled over. We have two personalities who are accusing some people of raping them. And that is an ongoing situation. But the point is that we have to check to see what is happening to our people. And we have to get our people comfortable to understand obedience to law and order. Now, you may not have much money, but I hear people say poverty causes crime. Well, I'm one of the poor people, and I haven't been involved in no kind of criminal activity. My mother and father taught me, when you don't have, you do without. And when you get what the Lord has for you.
We have a call on the line. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Boy, that's what our mother say. When you don't have, you do without. A golden day is this dark universe along with you and Mr. Thompson, sweet girl of your name, gone away from me.
How you doing, Brandon?
Yes, wonderful. We need justice, law in this country. But what I want to say, right? Speaking of the Constitution, those people that's in authority and was in authority, they didn't want to educate the people. The people are not being educated. They have the people hard and hard, the people highness to do what they want for them. That's the problem. Okay? Until the people get untied, then they will be able to move untied, whereby they could be educated and work for the type of money they need to work for. They're only working for little or nothing because that's the way the ones in authority have them. And it's foolishness. We need to move. We flat. We keep into what you would call it, to one position. And that's not cool, that's not nice, and that's not right. And that's the problem, and nobody's speaking of it. Most people love it. Because why? They're getting something because of the people are being poor and destitute. That's the reason for them keeping them in that manner. So our people need to wake up. Our Bahamian people need to wake up. All right, now I was waiting on the police war from shortly after 11. And the police ain't reached yet. What kind of foolishness this is? And we call ourselves an independent country. And we're being governed by the Constitution. Our people are joking. Those in authority are joking. We need to do something about it. Thank you for your time, Ms. Malcolm.
All right, thanks so much for calling, Brandon. Professor, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I have to respond to that. We're not tied to anyone. The Constitution makes you a free people.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that the people don't understand the power of the Constitution. You played the tape outlining the reason why you have a Constitution.
Right.
Do the people of this country understand how deep that is? I think about it very seriously when I hear it being played. In our Constitution, we have a lot of power. The people of this country have untapped power that they have not touched. In fact, in my case, I could tell you I haven't even used 10% of my constitutional powers. I intend to turn it up a higher notch, but I'm just waiting for the right opportunity to do so. And I'm going to tell the Bahamian people now, you're yet to see some things happen that the Bahamian people have to wake up quickly. You don't have much time. Or otherwise, you may find you don't even have a country. There are those who are working diligently behind the scenes to do some things to get our country in the right shape, for the right moment, at the right time, in the right place. Now, I understand what Bremen is saying, and I can understand his sentiments. But the thing is, you have Article 24.1, and I've said this to people all the time. You have these people who call themselves activists. The Constitution forbids you to take on a community issue or a national issue or a constituency issue by yourself. Just check Article 24.1. It takes the collective will of a people to bring change. And if the majority of the people are going to sit back and just expect one or two people to do it, it's not going to happen that way. It takes 51% or more of the people, and we can get that 51%, to go in the right direction constitutionally to bring the required changes that are essential. But when you believe you are, as Bremen said, tied, or the government is tying you, the thing is that people have been politically polarized. They're not constitutionally sound.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't know any better. And I have to take a lot of patience with them until I know that they know better. Now, after they then get to know better, then you turn the notch up a little bit higher. But right now, the Bahamian people need to understand the power that they have in that Constitution, because it's a very powerful document. It is ripe and ready for change. Our founding fathers were way ahead of their time. And this Constitution, as we go through it, Article 19 and beyond, you're going to find that there's some powerful things in there that we just haven't touched.
Let me ask you something. You said at the outset of the show that listening to that tape about Constitution Made Simple, you thought of the Bahamas. You thought of the Bahamas in a good way or a bad way?
That's a good question. The fact that the government of the Bahamas is violating the Constitution, has been doing so for 50 long years. That's a fact of life. Still doing it today. They ain't stopped. You know why they haven't stopped? Because not enough has waken up to the fact that it's happening to them. They get so politically polarized with a particular grouping of individuals that they're not checking on what they're doing. All I simply say is, look at what the government of the Bahamas is doing. That's one. Look at the things that they are doing in this country, the agreements that they're signing, and plenty of them, we have to examine all of them. Look at the laws that have been passed in the House of Assembly. And look at what is happening with citizenship in this country. How the government of the Bahamas is giving citizenship to people who do not qualify, never did qualify, cannot qualify. And what are we doing about it? All we can do is keep arguing every day on the airwaves while the government keep adding more and more unqualified persons to the citizenship list in this country. All of that has to change. And you have to take action against the government of the Bahamas to change it. How many of us are prepared to do that? Or we can just sit back. See, that's the question.
That's the multi-million-dollar question right there.
How many are prepared to take decisive action against the government of the Bahamas? Do they know what kind of work is involved in doing that?
Well, I guess it's fair to say that the first step in that process would be knowledge of the contents of the Constitution.
Exactly. That's correct.
That's what we're trying to do here. We have to take a break. When we come back on the other side of the break, we have to get back into the Constitution itself, because it's already a quarter of the show already gone. And so let's dive back into, we stopped at 19 and Article 19 in the Constitution, and we're going to pick up where we left off at last week. So stay with us. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. This is GPS.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here along with Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson. We are looking at the Constitution of the Bahamas on this Masterclass Monday. The telephone numbers to call are 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272, and the WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 801-0271. That's 801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. Please like and share the show. Also coming to you live on rumble.com. Look for Global Paradigm Shift, all one word. We're coming to you on Cable Bahamas, channel 974, and you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and follow us there. You can also catch us on radio 99.5 on the dial, FM dial here in Providence. And also welcome to all of you tuned in by way of radio from Grand Bahama and throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And those of you who are tuned in from around the world, a special welcome to you all. Okay, so let's get Professor Thompson back on the stage. And we are now going to pick up from where we left off last week as it relates to Article 19, I believe we were at, in the Constitution of the Bahamas.
Yes.
And just to bring you guys up to speed, Article 19 appears under Chapter 3 of the Constitution, which deals with the protection of fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual. Now, we stopped right in the midst of Article 19.
I think it was F.
Huh?
Section F.
Yes, that is where we're going to pick up. And this is
Yeah.
something that we definitely need to take a look at because we just experienced this very recently
Yes.
with the pandemic. So, Article 19:1 begins, no person shall be deprived of his personal liberty save as may be authorized by law in any of the following cases. So if we scroll down to F, for the purpose of preventing the spread of an infectious or contagious disease, or in the case of a person who is or is reasonably suspected to be of unsound mind, addicted to drugs or alcohol, or a vagrant for the purpose of his care or treatment or the protection of the community. So let's deal with the first part of that as it relates to the prevention of the spread of an infectious or contagious disease. Now,
Yes.
we know all too well what that feels like because we experienced that with the
Yes.
pandemic when the sitting prime minister at the time, Hubert Alexander Minnis, decided that he would take control in the form of the competent authority and implement emergency orders to protect the public from the spread of the coronavirus. So that is the premise under which the lockdowns came and all of the other things that they implemented to protect us from
Now let me just.
the virus.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
I want to ask a question. Was he constitutionally sound? Yes or no?
Well,
By his actions.
according to what we just read, on the surface, it would look like he was constitutionally sound. Now, you could tell me otherwise if he was not.
Let's put it this way. He did some things that were not in the best interest of the Bahamian people.
Okay.
You locked up a man for going to the pump to get water, to bathe his skin and to give water to his family because he didn't have water in the house. Other things that were done which were not in the best interest of the people of this country. In fact, what he did, he violated your liberties and your freedoms. Now, I'm not
But what we
saying...
just read didn't give him the right to do that?
No, listen to me carefully. I know what the Constitution says. Now let's look at what he did. See, that's the thing. Because, see, a person could say they're doing it based on whatever. But the point is, you have to ask yourself, in light of what has happened to the Bahamian people, and there's a problem even with wearing all these masks. Does it really protect you from any disease? That,
right.
You put a question mark to that. Okay? A lot of things that were done by the Minnis administration did not benefit the interests of the Bahamian people, although it was trumped to be that way. And that's why we could look at what he did. See, I always say to people, look at what the government has done. The individual in power or the team in power, was it constitutionally sound? Did you benefit from it? He was supposed to have a group feeding. He had a group supposedly feeding people. I never got any of the food, by the way. And my family didn't get anything of the food. and certain amounts of money, big money, which was given out to this particular grouping. I'm saying to you that some people took advantage of this unfortunate situation.
Yes.
And they benefited. But did the majority of the Bahamian people, see, Ms. Malcolm, you have to ask yourself the question, did his actions or the government's actions benefit the overwhelming majority of the Bahamian people? Well, then if it hasn't benefited the overwhelming majority of the Bahamian people and all they did was suffer, then what are you saying? Yes, you should take precautionary measures against an infectious disease if it's spreading in a given community. In this particular case, they had what they called the virus that was out there. And now we're beginning to see that a lot of fraudulent things occurred which had nothing to do with health. Nothing at all. So you have to ask yourself, was the government constitutionally sound? See, they're making decisions today. And the only thing I ask myself, that basic question, is the government constitutionally sound? Because see, if we keep waiting until this bursts into a crisis, we may not be able to recover from it. Is that what we
So
want?
let me ask you something, Professor. He could argue that he was acting based on available information. And based on available information, they were saying at the time that it made sense to be wearing, well, he decided cloth masks, which anybody who know half a bit of science know that didn't make no sense. But anyway, he created a whole industry where people was making cloth masks.
Yes.
Right? So he said that was going to help stop the spread. Well, we know now that that's not true. Anybody with sense knew then that that wasn't true. But he could argue that many of the decisions that he made were based on the direction that the world was taking, and that it was based on limited knowledge, and based on that limited knowledge, he would have made decisions that he thought was in the best interest of the Bahamian people. How would you respond to that?
I got to respond to that this way. If everybody decided to jump in the Atlantic Ocean today or tomorrow, there's no way they could swim, no way they could get out of that water. You can jump in with them? Is that what you want to do? See, don't make any excuses for anybody. And I'm not saying you are, Ms. Malcolm. I'm just drawing an illustration here. The point is we ought to get the facts. We ought to get accurate and precise information that you give to the public. Is the government of the Bahamas today, this current administration, getting the actual facts? Not speculation, not gossip, not because Jamaica decide they can jump in the Atlantic Ocean, we can jump in after them. Is that what we're going to do? Because I am sick and tired of hearing our people talk about what other people are doing. See, when you start saying that to me, I tune you right up. I don't listen to you. I'm not interested in that. We have to look at our situation here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. What is it that God has blessed us with that we can use in the time of a crisis? We hear some people talk about going back to their roots. And that's why I am saying, let us check the political history of places like Ghana, places like Uganda. Look at those African nations. From the time they were a colony right on up to this very day. And so many of us are so gung-ho over what other people are doing, we forget our own country. We forget our own constitution. We always want to be like somebody else. And you think they're checking for us? No, they're not checking for us. And they're dying by the thousands. The point is, we do not have that kind of situation in our country here. We're not paying attention to that. We need to protect what we have. Yes, we should show concern for what's happening in other places, but not to the detriment of our country.
So let me ask you this, and this is all hypothetical, clearly, because you're not a medical doctor like our former prime minister was. What do you think would have been a better approach so that, in your estimation, he would have remained within the confines of the Constitution while trying to protect the public from the spread of that virus?
I'll put it this way. You have all the medical team. He got all these sophisticated doctors around him. In his cabinet, he had a couple of them. All I'm simply saying is this, Miss Malcolm. We are supposed to be an educated people, an intelligent people. We say we're resilient. But don't come up with foolishness and nonsense. Because somebody else decided to jump in the Atlantic Ocean, you can jump in? What kind of nonsense is that? Why can't we not figure out, with all this knowledge, with all this education that our people have, why can't we figure out something that is beneficial, that God has given us in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas that can help us in the time of crisis? You see anybody ever do that?
Well, you know, to that point, Professor, I have to say, you know, because some people might be listening to you and saying, oh, Professor, you're expecting too much. But listen, if Cuba, the doctors and the scientists in Cuba put their heads together to try to figure out a way to come up with their own vaccine, they worked around the clock to find ways to protect their own people because they didn't have the luxury of depending on America or many of these countries because of their status as a communist nation. And they have a lot less resources than we do.
Yes, we do. That's correct.
But yet, they found a way to find a solution for their people. So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
And see, that is the problem with us as Bahamians. We have these people who are supposed to be educated. They have their credentials. And I'm not knocking what credentials they have. I just look at what you do with what you say you have. But if you keep telling me what someone is doing in Sudan, what someone is doing in Thailand, what someone is doing here, what someone is doing there, I tune you out right away. That doesn't benefit the people of the Bahamas. We need to look at what we have here locally in our country. What are the conditions we're living under? Because I can tell you in those countries, they're living under far worse conditions than what we have here. But yet we're gung-ho after what they're doing. For what? What purpose is that? It doesn't make any sense. We have to stop and think what is beneficial for the Bahamian people. Not because someone comes there and say, this is what you should do. Oh, this works in Sweden, this works in Cuba, this work here, this work there. But we never stop to check what is going to work for us in our local situation. We got problems in these various communities. We have no real answers for them, you know. We're not even checking with our own constitution, which gives us the vision. And see, the man spoke to that in the tape. We're not even checking for that. We're looking at somebody else's constitution, which has no effect here. It has no standing in the Bahamas. But yet we have our leaders ignoring the supreme law of the land. That is a major problem today, February 12th, 2024, in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
So you're suggesting then that the former Prime Minister violated the Constitution from what you understand it to be?
I'll put it this way. If he doesn't act according to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, it's a violation. And when you violate the law, that's a criminal offense. It's just as simple as that. But see, we have to look at what the government is doing to us. We haven't done it in 50 years, Ms. Malcolm. You go back and peel back everything from July the 10th, 1973, right on up to now. And someone say, start right here. No, sir. You violated my rights for more than 50 years. For some people who don't even belong here. And then they can sit right side of me talking about they is Bahamian. Any crap like that? That is a major problem we have with our leaders and with our people. That's why you say I come every Monday to talk about this Constitution. Because I know the value of the document. And there are people who say they want to run things and you listen to the radio, you listen to the shows, not a single acknowledgement about the supreme law of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. They act like it doesn't exist. They're having a bill in any country like that. If you keep ignoring your supreme law, you will keep losing. You will keep failing. Because the supreme law gives you your vision, your purpose for being a nation.
Well, let me just say this to that. You know, whether you argue or whether you believe that Prime Minister Minnis was in his constitutional rights to implement the protocols that he did, you know, that is one thing. But I will never forget hearing come out of that man's mouth when he said, I may have to violate your constitution.
And he did.
And I thought to myself, whoa,
Did you
wait
see,
a minute now.
Yeah, but that was a serious statement that he made, and the nation
Very, and it just was like, it just like went in one end, came out the next for the majority of people in this country, including the politicians, including those who call themselves leaders. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, is this Narnia we living in? Is this the Twilight Zone? Did this man just say that he would be willing to violate the Constitution of the Bahamas and nobody took him to issue?
No one. What is that? You see, that's how lax we are as a people. Okay? And those who are legally trained.
Very frightening.
Well, taking the necessary action that is essential, because most of these people in this country don't know nothing about law. They don't understand constitutional law. Now, a few people understand it, but those who do know, what did they do about it? Nothing. And see, Ms. Malcolm, that's what I'm talking about. Watch the action of your leaders, and then watch those who say they're trained, those who have all this knowledge, all this understanding, to help. See, you're supposed to take your knowledge and understanding and help your brothers and sisters who don't know. That is yet to happen, because we have some serious issues in this country. How long are we going to...
on the line?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
What up, Michelle?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. Professor?
Yes, sir. Hey, how are you?
Third English? All right. I don't know. The Constitution voices the government, because that's how I feel. You know what I mean, Michelle? That's just how I feel. The Constitution voices the government. I was listening to you while I was around my dorm, Michelle. I think it was Friday when you ran out of town. Ran out of time. If you listen to the gentleman inside that town would get smashed when he said he have kids that holds being impossible. Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
If you listen real good. And your last moment you were saying what was the pathway, right?
Well, yes, what was the pathway for that Bahamian citizenship? Yes.
Yes. So if you had on inspectors, I think you had on a corporal or somebody who was in charge of the police department, I think couple days or a week before, when they're telling you about crimes and stuff like that. Why can't we, I just saying, we as people demand certain things of people who in power? And here's what I mean. Even you, as a lady of voice, was saying that, okay, sir, I have a question. What was the pathway to these people, getting citizenship, the term? Because I know there got to be a process for that, and that is not being followed. Now, I'm saying, shouldn't that trigger the people who's supposed to uphold the land, the law of the land? Because they, as far as I'm concerned, they're listening to you, right? Because if they on the show, that means they have to be a part of that. They're listening to you. Now, I think we have a big problem, to me, inside the immigration department. It's either they don't know the Constitution or they ain't following the Constitution. And I say, if you're serious, you want to go to crimes with this and that, everybody would look at the Bahamas. Why do they have to spit out that it's a corrupt and crime-filled place? People love to say, oh, the Bahamas is beautiful. I in Atlanta, I'm telling you. Why do they have to, associate us with crime? One of my boys who is, I talk about this, an American. He's an American. You know what he said? Like, why do y'all let people just go there, take y'all stuff from y'all, and y'all politicians ain't doing nothing, and y'all never even challenge that? This an American talking to me. You know how to make me feel? So I say, when I listened to your show the last day, I think that was Friday, man, and you run out of time or something like that. I catch that little piece of that. That's why nobody investigating that part of it. Because now you trying to tell me now, and these people head, they thinking that because that they entitled to what my child get. And I can leave you on this, man. Everybody talking about we have to get serious, and we have to the government, they don't want to do these things. They don't want to do it. If you, Miss Michelle, if you look at it, they don't want to do it. Now this can be my last thing. Did you not hear the ladies who came out on the news and say, listen to her gut, she say, the government should come and talk to us. She grew up here saying she's an activist now. These so-called saying Bahamians turning their gunfire on Bahamians. They don't want to see, they telling me how if you break down a shanty town. Make this make sense. How if you break down the shanty towns, the people who in the shanty towns telling you, oh, we have no place to go. Keno, we have no place to go. The government don't do this. The government, to me, my house got destroyed by the hurricane, and I keep saying this. You know how long I was trying to run down politicians and this and that and this and that? And I could get frustrated and go inside the bush and build up something. That makes no sense to me. And then you have somebody who's saying she's a Bahamian, but then turning it around and protesting against me, saying the government should come and talk to them. Make that make sense. You telling our government come drive wherever he is to come and meet with you. Nobody should have that type of power, no place, no one person. And I don't care what identity we're pushing wrong. And if the professor is right, why we don't have no lawyers backing up this man? Every Monday he have to come and say, hey, this is what it is and this is what it is. But then after he gone, the powers them act like they ain't hearing nothing and seeing nothing. And Miss Michelle, you say it out, and that hold on to me because they laugh at me. I over here in the ground, they laugh at me when you say, I want to know what is the pathway. That was so strong, you don't realize that. That fly over people head, but in a foreign land, that hold grip to me. So I need somebody to explain that, man, and I go on. Thanks for your time.
All right, thank you so much for calling. You know, we are very, very good at paying attention to what we want to pay attention to while ignoring the challenge that led to what we paying attention to. So
Exactly.
we heard, you know, when people were protesting against the demolition of the shanty towns. Oh, we have Bahamians living here. We have Bahamians living here. We have Bahamians living here. But what I would like to know, and I think what many people would like to know is, okay, these Bahamians that y'all keep talking about, because when it came to one of the shantytown demolitions here in New Providence, a lady of Haitian nationality or Haitian heritage made news when she appeared on the Beyond the Headlines show with Shanique Miller, along with a Haitian pastor, talking about her rights and how the government got to do for her and her husband and her children. And this is a woman who could barely speak English, but yet she claims she had a Bahamian passport. And the children have Bahamian passport, and the husband get Bahamian passport. And he's also from Haiti. So I try to figure out, okay, we paying attention to the fact that Bahamians are being affected, but how they get to be Bahamians? Now, if it was done through legal means, I ain't got no issue with that. If they rightfully obtained that citizenship, I ain't got no problem with that. They Bahamians. But if this citizenship was, and I'm not saying it was, I'm just speaking hypothetically. If this citizenship was obtained by illegal or irregular means, why are we ignoring that? Why are we ignoring that for the sake of, oh, Bahamians are being impacted, but we ain't look at the legality of how they became, quote unquote, Bahamians? Because we know that everybody who is in possession of a Bahamian passport is not a Bahamian citizen. If they receive that passport by illegal or irregular means. So why are we pretending that this is not a reality in this country? Just so we could argue, oh, you shouldn't do this to these people because they're Bahamians, and we ain't questioning how they get that citizenship. Were they legally entitled to that citizenship based on what the Constitution of the Bahamas says? So this is a serious problem, Professor.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And that is why you're going to have to see changes in your country. If we don't fight it, if we keep arguing about it, that's why I always quote Article 24(1) of the Constitution. You can argue till thy kingdom come if you do not organize yourselves constitutionally for the express purpose of bringing change in your country. You won't have any change. That's why you have the Constitution. The Constitution is the most powerful document in the land. Nothing could trump it, except the Holy Bible, of course. But the point is that I am glad you mentioned that point, because that's a very important point. How did they get, quote unquote, Bahamian citizenship? The Constitution is the only document that tells you and gives you the pathway for citizenship in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And I can tell you the naturalization process is not for all those other nations out there. That ended in July of 1974, 1 year after July the 10th. That is now, that law is now suspended, is null and void. Now, it could be reactivated if you have a referendum to it. But you have people say they're being naturalized. So the mere fact that you have people being naturalized, that is unconstitutional. And the Constitution doesn't support it. That is what I'm saying to the Bahamian people. You got to get deep into this thing. You can't just keep sitting and arguing day after day after day, but you don't take any appropriate action that is essential to deal with those who are violating the Constitution. That's what we have to deal with.
Okay, we have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue exploring Article 19 of the Constitution of the Bahamas.
Yes, ma'am.
And beyond. So be sure to like and share the show and stick around until after this commercial break, because we have more to uncover as it relates to Article 19 of the Constitution of the Bahamas. Stay with us. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Track Life, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blasted love.
gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm, along with Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on this Masterclass Monday, where we are exploring the Constitution of the Bahamas. The number to call if you have a question or a comment is 326-0271. That's 326-0271, 326-0272. 326-0272, and the WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 801-0271. That's 801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. If you haven't already done so, please like and share the show. Also coming to you live on rumble.com. Look for Global Paradigm Shift, all one word, no spaces in between. We are on Cable Bahamas, channel 974. And you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and carry us with you that way as well. A huge welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of radio, whether you are listening in from within the country or without. Thank you so much for making GPS a part of your afternoon. We have a comment, or actually a question, here on Facebook. And the question is, let me just pull it up here. The question is it legal? Is it legal for children younger than the age of 18 who have both parents who are of Haitian descent to have Bahamian citizenship? I think according to our Constitution, the answer to that question is no. Correct, Professor?
You're 100% right.
But yet this is something that we are seeing in our community.
But that is why we have to change it. See, you must understand this. Some people are not going to understand unless they stop, They'll keep throwing dirty water on you and messing you up until you decide to get up off your backside and decide, look, we're going to cut this crap out once and for all. Where the government of the Bahamas continues to violate the Constitution day after day after day, you have to stop them. That's the only language they understand. Begging them and pleading them, we don't have to go through that crap. Bahamians have to wake up. You have your document right here. You have your Constitution right here. You don't need their permission to do anything. When you're dealing with the Constitution, your constitutional rights, your constitutional freedom, it is not in the power of the government. They're not listening when you play this tape, You played it today, and I listened to it very carefully. And I think you have to keep reminding Bahamian people about that. Because the power is with them. You don't have to argue with them. If they don't want to listen, they'll feel. You can take the appropriate steps to deal with a government that continues to violate the Constitution. And by extension, all those departments, all those ambassadors, all of those appointed personalities who carry out the duties of that particular government, all of that they're doing is unconstitutional. And that's the people have to understand how widespread this is. This is a very serious matter. You can't take this lightly. It's been going on for more than half a century. And so we have to wake up to the fact that something is about to happen soon and very soon. It takes time to organize and put things together. Bahamians say they're ready. See, I can know whether you're ready or not. You can't fool a person like me. I've watched this for 50 years. I've waited for 50 years for the Bahamians to wake up, and they begin to wake up when Her Majesty the Queen passed. And they begin to take a serious look at their constitution. Now, I'm going to encourage them to continue to listen, to continue to learn. And a lot of people say how grateful they are for the show every Monday. And that will continue as long as we're able to get on the air. And the thing is that I want the people to know about the Constitution. There's no point me keeping it to myself. That ain't no good to nobody. Knowledge is not good to you unless it is used. And there are going to be some. And I said before, I'm not even exercising 10% of my constitutional powers. Still under 10%. But as time moves on, I'm going to turn up the notch. Because there's plenty there for me to work with. Go ahead, Ms. Malcolm.
Let's look back at 19. Let's continue now. I think we've pretty much exhausted the whole question of whether or not the competent authority was in his rights to do what he did.
Right.
As far as emergency orders were concerned. Let's move on. Continuing now with 19.1F.
Yes.
It says, we talked about the spread of an infectious or contagious disease,
That's
or in
correct.
the case of a person who is or is reasonably suspected to be of unsound mind, addicted to drugs or alcohol, or a vagrant for the purpose of his care or treatment or the protection of the community.
Okay.
I don't know about you, but I drive around a lot and I see a lot of vagrants. I see a lot of people who are clearly on some kind of substance or have some kind of mental challenges. And wow, and unfortunately, it seems like the number is rising. I mean,
Yes.
more and more you drive through the streets of New Providence and you see these people and you're wondering, at least I often wonder, why is nobody doing something to get these people off the street, to give them the help that they need? And from what I've what I just read, it seems that is their a constitutional right or a constitutional responsibility on the part of the authorities to try to help these people.
And for the protection of the country and the community.
Yes.
Notice it says in the country. See, the thing is, they talk about drugs, they talk about alcohol, they talk about vagrants, they talk about addiction to dangerous drugs.
Yes.
All of those points have to be considered because they are constitutionally sound points.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We ignore them. I see the same thing you see every day. So what are we going to do about it? Not only you see it, I see it, but others see it too. That's why I say to them, we got Article 24.1. And some people have decided they want to take these issues on themselves. And I simply discourage that because I tell them it's not constitutionally sound. You'll never see Professor trying to do that because I know better. I know what limits I have under the Constitution with my rights, my freedoms, my privileges, because they are limited because of the fact that they cannot supersede the rights of the vast majority of the Bahamian people. That's a fact of life. Now, what I could do is persuade them to agree with the Constitution. I can put a lot of emphasis on that. Because that's the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas that we need to be working with so we could get rid of these vagrants, these drug addicts, these people of unsound mind. We have them in the community. And you had one in my area disturbing the community time and time and time and time and time again. You call the police. They don't take it seriously. So what then you supposed to do? You have to take appropriate action. The Constitution allows you to take appropriate action when it is necessary to do so. You have to take action against the authorities if they fail to do their job. Do the Bahamians understand that?
What kind of action you talking about can you take against the authorities if they fail to do their job, which they're clearly failing when it comes to the vagrants and the drug addicted and
Of
and
course
mentally
they are.
people on the street?
See, that's where you come to Article 24.1 of your Constitution, where it gives you the right to protect your interests. Do we have an interest to protect? See, the word interest is plural in that article. Are we concerned about our families? Are we concerned about our children? Are we concerned about our grandpigeons? You got plenty of pigeons coming after me. All I'm simply saying is, if we don't have any interest, then you do nothing. You could keep doing nothing, just like you're doing right now. Just do nothing. And then something else will happen to you. And everyone will start disappearing off the scene. And then when they come to you, they take you out too. And nobody there to help you. Nobody there to protect you.
I want to read a comment from Facebook. This comment says,
Yes.
I had a vagrant throw something at my car the other day while I was driving that could have resulted in a serious accident. So
Yes.
again, here is a case where, according to our Constitution, that person should not be allowed to be on the street because they could be a
Of
danger
course.
to others.
The person's a benign
What
time
can
man.
we as a collective do to ensure that this aspect of the Constitution is adhered to? Because we all
Okay.
see it.
Yeah, okay. Let people keep asking the question, what can we do? And the Constitution gives you the answer, It's been there for more than half a century. And yet people are still saying, Professor, what can we do? I pointed out Article 24.1. Now, here's how our system goes. You have a representative in your community, your constituency. You are to speak through that representative. That's constitutional. Are we doing that? Some people say they can't get to their representative. They'll talk to somebody else. Fine. Well, you do that. But even if you do not get to the representative, you can put the kind of pressure in place that he'll have to listen to you, or she will have to listen to you. No ifs, no ands, no buts. We are not good at putting pressure on the government of the Bahamas to amend their wicked ways, to amend the wicked ways of our representatives. We don't do that. Oh, that's my party. That's my buddy. While he's doing crap. That's why we're in the predicament we're in. We are not prepared to face the harsh reality that the representative is not acting in our best interest. And you have to tell him. And if he don't want to listen, fine. If you don't hear, you'll feel. But we just sit back and throw our hands up. Oh, there's nothing we could do. Remember the fellow who called in on the show and he was asking me a question about what can we do if something would happen and people not listening, and we were talking about taking legal action. Oh, that's too much weight. You just throw your hands right up in the air. Now, you can do that in addition to some other things that I will not mention right now that you can do. There are a number of options. And I want the Bahamian people to hear this. Not only can you take legal action, that's one out of several constitutionally sound methods. Notice what I said. Constitutionally sound methods to protect your interests. I won't get into the others right now at this point in time. I tell you, I got to turn this up a notch as I move along. But you know what grieves my spirit, and Ms. Malcolm, we've been on this show for over a year now, well over a year. And we've been going through the Constitution piece by piece, article by article, statement after statement, and giving accurate and precise information for the people to work with. They could go and listen to the tapes. Now, there's one major problem that they have. They do not know how to constitutionally organize themselves. And I tell them, you call Professor Thompson. I'll help you with that one. There's a right way to do it. But if you don't organize Bahamians, nothing is going to happen. So you can't just keep sitting back. You listen to the show. Oh, that was a good show. What do you do with the information? What do you do with the knowledge? You just put it on the shelf and forget about it? That makes no sense. We'd be wasting our time if we keep coming here every Monday and then you give out this valuable information, but people don't act on the information. They ain't got to look up.
I want to read a comment from Facebook. It says, I don't want to talk to my representative. He's too immature. He carries on like a child. When persons try to have a conversation with him pertaining to his job, he hired by the people to do, always calling the people who voted for him idiots.
But let's put it this way. Okay, I understand that what the text is saying. There's a remedy to that too. That is where you organize on the ground. See, the text is making a complaint. Now I would say to them, you know what you need to do? Talk to the people in your area, right on your street, right around the corner from you. And if you think you need help in dealing with that, you just call me. I'll show you how to do it. Without getting personal. The problem with a lot of us in this country gets very personal in people's private affairs. I don't do that with nobody. I'm not interested in that. If it's something to do with the community, if it's something to get the constituency to move forward under the Constitution, fine. Any national issue, fine. But I think sometimes we get too personal into people's personal, private affairs, which that is a big barrier in these communities where we can't progress the way we should. I know that to be a fact. Now, a lot of people will tell you things. You don't have to ask them anything. They've done it for me for over 50 years. I just go to sleep and forget about it because I can't talk it with nobody. Because they will know that the only person I told that to, the same fellow right there, and he talked my business. They can't throw it at me because I just don't remember it anymore. I go to sleep and forget about it. I ask the Lord to help me. But these people have problems, just like that texter has a problem with his representative. And I'm going to suggest to the text, please talk to the people on your street. Organize yourself. If you ain't sure how to do that, just call me or call the station. They'll get me. That's what I want to help them to do.
So
because
I want to.
Yeah.
I want to move on to FG because this one I'm sure is going to take up the rest of the show. This one is heavy. Okay, so again, 19:1 begins. No person shall be deprived of his personal liberty, save as may be authorized by law in any of the following cases. Now let's go to G. Hold on to your seats now. For the purpose of preventing the unlawful entry of that person into the Bahamas, or for the purpose of effecting the expulsion, extradition, or other lawful removal from the Bahamas of that person, or the taking of proceedings relating thereto, and without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing, a law may, for the purposes of this subparagraph, provide that a person who is not a citizen of the Bahamas may be deprived of his liberty to such extent as may be necessary in the execution of a lawful order requiring that person to remain within a specified area within the Bahamas or prohibiting him from being within such an area. Now, I know that was long, but it's talking about the detention of people who enter the country illegally. Now,
yes,
I remember a couple of years ago, an attorney by the name of Fred Smith was able to successfully, it seems, argue that people who were being held in the detention center were being imprisoned. He was able to take that to the court and argue that. And if I remember correctly, I believe he was successful in his argument. Now, my question is this, and I could be wrong, but that's just from my recollection. I believe he had some degree of success with that argument. And what certain people were questioning was this: is there not a difference between detention and imprisonment? Because the argument that he made was that the people who were being held at the detention center were actually being imprisoned, when that is not necessarily the case. Because according to what I just read, the Constitution allows for people to be detained who have entered the country illegally. But detention and imprisonment are two different things. Now, am I wrong here?
No, you're not wrong. See, even if the court makes a ruling that is unconstitutional, the court is wrong. That's what people need to understand, you know. Let me just say this. You have certain personalities. And this is why I question some of the things that even the courts here do, particularly if it's unconstitutional. Yes, the particular personality sitting on the bench may make a ruling. Is it constitutionally sound? They're not above the law. They don't have any authority to make laws. Article 52.1, check that out. The only law-making body is Parliament. I don't know about no judiciary making any law. The judiciary is to follow the law, what the Constitution says, what is in the law. And so you have some clever fellows who believe that they're smart and they think they're helping the situation when actually you're endangering the country. When you allow people who are detained because of unlawful entry into the country to argue the point that they're being imprisoned, when the law specifically says they have to be detained. We got people walking around. The fellas say he's been here 27 years, still out in the open. What's going to happen to these people? See, we have allowed this thing to get so far out of line that we got persons, even in my own community, I see a lot of black males. They're not Bahamians. They're foreigners. But they're marching up and down in the community. We have nameless, faceless people in our country. We don't even know who's there. The authorities don't know. I remember some Haitians came to me and they wanted me to do some work for them. And they brought their passport, look at their passport. They say, you've been here illegally 3 years. They're still in the Bahamas. 3 years from the time they came in. 3 years later, they're still here. Of course, that is cause for deep concern. It has gotten worse since then. Because we have done nothing about it. We see these things, we hear these things, we acknowledge about these things, but we take no appropriate action. This is where the citizenry come in. Otherwise, you can have a whole army of people marching around here talking about their citizens with a passport in their hand, which was given to them by certain personalities. And now they are, quote unquote, citizens. See, that's an affront to me. When you make an unlawful person, a person who does not qualify for citizenship, you're making them equal with me. How am I supposed to accept that? I can't go along with that. You're taking away my birthright and giving it to them. That's what you're doing. And we don't see how dangerous that is. So your whole country is flooded with people who speak a different language, a different culture, who never ever became Bahamianized to the Bahamian way of life. You can't have another nation in the Bahamas and acting and doing as they please. Because the Constitution said it's supposed to be detained. But we have some who are freely moving around And this thing where they're knocking the shanty towns and everything, what are they doing with the illegals? Have you heard them say anything about them? Whether you're Bahamian or not, you do not have the right to put up a structure without the proper permission. So I don't know where the argument is coming from. I can't put up no wall around my place unless I get permit to put up the wall. But these people putting up towns, and you can say they're Bahamian. What kind of crap is that? And then you tell me I can't put up the wall because I need permission to get a permit to put the wall up. But these fellas are putting up towns. They're not even Bahamians. But we are ignoring the fact they're calling themselves Bahamians. They got a passport, yes. So not everyone with a passport means that. That means you got to scrap all of that. That's how deep-rooted this wickedness is in our country. We're being invaded by people who do not speak our language, who do not conform to Bahamian things, and they have no intention of doing so. They have intention of taking over. And that's what Bahamians need to understand. This is a very deep part in this particular article of the Constitution, Article 19. And we have to take it very seriously. But I have said that the Bahamians do not fully understand how deep this matter is. But we can't keep sleeping anymore. We have more than enough evidence, more than enough proof. And you're going to see that bust out very soon.
Okay, we have to take a break. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to continue to explore Article 19(1)(g) of the Constitution as it relates to the rights to detain someone who enters the country illegally.
Exactly.
Stay with us. We'll be back after these words. We'll be back.
Global paradigm shift will return
At
after.
Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy with Mailboat's U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the Mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here with Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on this Masterclass Monday. We are looking at the Constitution of the Bahamas. And before we dive back into Article 19.1G, here is how you can get in on the conversation if you have a question or a comment. The telephone numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line where you can message us or call us is 8010271, 8010271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. It's not too late to like and share the show if you haven't already done so. Also coming to you live on rumble.com. That's rumble.com. Look for Global Paradigm Shift, all one word, no spaces in between. And please like and follow the show there. We are on Cable Bahamas, channel 974. And you can also download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and follow us there. Last but not least, welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of radio. Whether it is from throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas or across the world, welcome to GPS. So we're looking at Article 19.1G of the Constitution, which deals with the detention of persons who enter the country illegally. And I would have mentioned in the last segment of the show the fact that Attorney Fred Smith has had some success in arguing, I guess, comparing the detention of someone to imprisonment. Now, I want to read from an article that appeared in the Tribune last year, April, with regard to Mr. Smith arguing a case all the way to the Privy Council, and this article is headlined "Unlawful to Detain for Over 48 Hours," and it says Attorney General Ryan Pinder said a new Privy Council ruling would not change current immigration detention practices because the government has complied with the law in recent times, despite the ruling being hailed as a landmark by Fred Smith, KC. The Privy Council ruled yesterday, and this was written on April 6th of last year. So it says the Privy Council ruled yesterday that Kenyan national Douglas Ngumi, I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but that's what we're going to go with today, was unlawfully detained for all but 2 days while officials organized his deportation, breaking with the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, which found it was reasonable to detain him for at least 3 months while arranging his removal from the country. And Gumi's lawyers, including Human Rights Bahamas' Fred Smith, hailed the ruling as landmark, saying it clarifies the parameters around which people can be detained pending deportation. The ruling affirms, this is a quote, the ruling affirms what HRB has stated repeatedly: the authorities have no lawful right to detain a person suspected of violating the Immigration Act for more than 48 hours at absolute maximum. They must either bring such individuals before the courts or release them immediately or deport them, HRB said in a statement. Now, based on what we read earlier in the Constitution, and I can read it again, 19(1)(g), it doesn't put any time limits on how long a person can be detained who would have entered the country illegally. So where does come from with this 48 hours? Where they find out?
That's a good question. And see, it's the people who are sitting who are, some people have ulterior motives.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I always question any decision made by a court, whether it's constitutionally sound or not. And even the arguments presented by an attorney, is it constitutionally sound or not? Not because they get a ruling in their favor means that it's constitutionally sound. That's what people need to understand. But if we keep allowing people to use our nation for personal gain and use our court system for personal gain, we're in big trouble. We have to be very careful with that. Because then you endanger your country. Right now, we have plenty trouble in this country. Plenty. When it comes to immigration. And it has not been settled yet. Article 6 of the Constitution. What has the government of the Bahamas done about it? The Privy Council didn't make any new ruling in that particular case. All the Privy Council said to the government to follow the law. Because the government was not following the law when it comes to the single fathers. And someone decided, or some people may have decided, to take the matter to the Privy Council. And they got a ruling. What are the single fathers doing in relation to that ruling? Are they sitting on their backsides? It's a step up for them now to organize themselves. See, that's what I keep saying about us as a people.
But Professor, I don't want us to lose focus on where we are in the Constitution, because we are all familiar with that case with the Privy Council and the ruling, etc. But getting back to this particular issue now, with the detention of persons who come here illegally, I will read it again, because I don't see anything in here that puts a time limit on how long a person can be detained. Who comes? Correct. So I'll read it again. For the purpose of preventing the unlawful entry of that person into the Bahamas, or for the purpose of effecting the expulsion, extradition, or other lawful removal from the Bahamas of that person, or the taking of proceedings relating thereto, and without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing, a law may, for the purposes of this subparagraph, provide that a person who is not a citizen of the Bahamas may be deprived of his liberty to such extent as may be necessary in the execution of a lawful order requiring that person to remain within a specified area within the Bahamas, or prohibiting him from being within such an area. So, what am I missing?
You're not missing anything. That's the supreme law. Nothing could trump that. Because you cannot put that in the box of 48 hours. That's not possible. It takes time to deal with these issues. And I think it's the governing authorities need to look at that very carefully if a ruling is made that is unconstitutionally sound. You see, this is what I keep saying about our people who are supposed to be running our national affairs. What are you doing? Are you protecting the interests of the country, or are you protecting your own personal interests? Because, see, it takes, Ms. Malcolm, it takes the office of Attorney General, who is the legal advisor to the government of the Bahamas, to give the government sound advice, constitutionally sound advice. Have they been getting that? Because here you're reading verbatim what's in the Constitution. It doesn't put any time limit, say within 48 hours. Nothing like that. And a statute law cannot supersede constitutional law. Because you have to check thoroughly to make sure that the right decision is being made under the circumstances with any one person or any group of persons. But right now we got people just walking around doing their own thing.
So
And the seem to be wrong.
I am looking at this this article 19 because 19.2 goes on to talk about timing in terms of someone who is detained, the timing for them to be given a notice, the timing for them to appear before the court, all of this.
Yeah.
So we definitely have to dive deeper into this. But for the meantime, we have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Good afternoon, Mr. Thompson.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
This is Ken Delano from Freeport. Yo.
Yes, sir.
So, Miss Malcolm and Mr. Thompson, you remember every so often, United States of America, when they have them riots, they have groups, individual groups that they start a riot, and when the black folks get in the riot, they be like the after party. They just looting the TV and all that there, but they don't actually start the riot. It's before my group, and then they come with martial law. It's the same thing we got now going in the Bahamas, but see, a lot of ignorant, we don't understand stuff. Now, what I'm trying to say now, martial law, which the chaos with the guns, the legal aliens, they gotta take back the country. They're gonna enforce. So now, what they gotta do is bypass the Constitution when they make these martial law. So they create the problem. They create the problem, just like the riot. They create the problem to fix the laws when they have this martial law, when they ain't got nothing to do with the Constitution. Because when they have the martial law, they make up their own law to lock the country down, say they're going to take the country back. When it's Malcolm and Mr. Thompson, they create the problem just to come and change what they ever want to change. You have a good day. Yeah.
Ms. Malcolm, I don't understand what he's talking about.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
That.
Yeah, getting back to what we were discussing.
Let's get back to
I have a comment here on Facebook, and this one is from Richard, who says, let me try and get it to come up. It says, I believe what Casey Fred Smith argued was that the gentleman was in prison for illegally entering the Bahamas, but the government of the Bahamas did not deport the person after he served his time. They kept him at the detention center instead of deporting him after he served his time. What are your thoughts on that, Professor?
Well, see, people who enter the country illegally ought to be deported. That's point number one. They don't belong here. Now, we have to look at our situation, and the government of the Bahamas, again, this goes back to the authorities who are in charge, who are running your national affairs. Number one, you have people in your country who are here illegally. Point number two, these people are to be detained and then deported within a reasonable period of time. Okay? Now, if we keep have them hanging around here, and no action being taken by the authorities who are responsible for doing their job, which the Bahamian people gave them to do, we're going to have problems. You're going to have persons who are out there who will take advantage of any weakness in the system that they see. They're not trying to help to strengthen the country. They're looking for weaknesses and shortcomings that they can use to benefit for their personal interests while the country suffers nationally. That doesn't make any sense at all. We're feeling the backlash of that right now. And so it's incumbent upon the government of the Bahamas and the Parliament of the Bahamas to have a serious look at our situation and make the appropriate changes that are essential and make sure that whatever is passed is within the confines of the Constitution. And if the court makes a ruling that's unconstitutional, it has to be challenged. The government ought to be doing that. But if you got people in there who don't know, not understanding Article 19 of your Constitution, where does that leave us? And it is the duty of the Attorney General's office to give sound constitutional advice to the government. That's what I have to say to that, because, the Constitution says the Office of Attorney General is the legal advisor to the government of the Bahamas. Are they supposed to listen to them? Now, if they ain't giving them sound advice, now that's a whole lot of a different color. I'll have a lot to say about that.
Okay.
But the point is, they have a responsibility. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. We have to take a break. But the bottom line is this, though, with regard to Mr. Cartwright's statement, his comment on Facebook. If the person was arrested and charged before the court with illegal entry and faced jail time as a result,
yes,
that, and this is just the way I interpret it, and maybe I'm incorrect, and Professor, you can correct me if I am, but to me, you being charged before the court for breaking a law and you being detained as a result of entering the country illegally are not necessarily the same. So you could serve time, and again, I'm no legal mind, so maybe I'm wrong here, but to me, it would suggest that you could serve the time for breaking that law, but then that does not negate the fact that you are supposed to be detained until you are put out of the country. So again, it goes back to this question of timing. How long is a reasonable amount of time? Because the Constitution does not say that you could be detained, even if you would have served time for breaking the law. Am I correct here?
You would be correct in the sense that, see, where the Constitution may not specifically have a period of time in that particular portion of the article, right? It is the duty of the government of the Bahamas, when the Constitution says a reasonable period of time, then the government of the Bahamas has to determine what is a reasonable period of time and put that in law. That is where the statute law comes in, to conform to the Constitution, not overrule the Constitution. Because there are some things, Ms. Malcolm, the Constitution does not specifically speak to. So it's the duty of the government and the Parliament of the Bahamas to have in order legislation for the peace, order, good government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That's Article 52.1. So what have our Parliament people been doing for the last 50 plus years? Have they been doing that? If they were doing what is written in Article 52.1, we won't have these problems today. They wouldn't be there. And the enforcement of those laws for the peace, 1, order, 2, good government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So obviously, some people have fallen down badly on their job, and we are suffering, we are paying the price for it. And if we don't move quickly, things are destined to get worse. Because people will always take advantage of a weakness in the system to exploit it to the detriment of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That doesn't make any sense at all. For a couple of people to be exploiting a weakness in the system, which could be corrected by the Parliament of the Bahamas. Remember now, and let me just say this while it's in my head, Ms. Malcolm. The Parliament of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas has been making laws. Then they turn around and find out, well, this ain't quite right. Then they come back, cancel that one out, put something else in its place. And you have that happening over and over and over and over again. So what kind of advice are they getting? See, just watch the behavior of the people who sit in the House of Assembly, who sit in the Senate. They're the ones who are supposed to make the laws. The authority is with them, not with the judge, not with the court. The court has a responsibility to follow the law, to carry out the law in the interest of the Bahamian people. That's why you have the judiciary, so they will hear the dispute.
Okay.
So they can't.
We have to take a break, Professor. Let's take this break, and I need you to be looking more towards that microphone, eh?
Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
take this break, and then when we come back, we will wrap this up. Stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back in a moment.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Blood sugar levels play a key role in your appetite, weight gain, and overall health. When you have a blood sugar spike, you can feel confused, dizzy, and even have increased cravings. Eating carbohydrates, sugary or fatty foods, and not exercising can all cause blood sugar spikes. But now you have help in managing blood sugar levels. Sweeties by Longevity was designed to help support healthy blood sugar levels so you can power through your day. It's a synergistic blend of minerals, herbs, and nutrients that have been proven to support healthy blood sugar levels. Sweeties includes chromium, an essential trace mineral that's known for its contribution to healthy blood sugar levels and improved metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Cinnamon bark has been included for its naturally occurring antioxidants and support of a healthy heart. And we've even added gymnema. It's been used in Ayurveda for centuries to help promote healthy blood sugar. All the ingredients in Sweeties work together to give the best support available for blood sugar control. Sweeties, the blood sugar support supplement from Longevity that helps control cravings and manage blood sugar levels through your day. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blasted love.
As you age, factors like health, weight, diet, and lifestyle can all impact your bones, joints, and general mobility. Even everyday exercise can lead to wear and tear on your body. Over time, you might start to experience stiffness or pain due to damaged joints or connective tissue. Ultimate Glucogel by Longevity was created to help you limit the effects of wear on your joints. It delivers a daily dose of collagen-rich gelatin your body needs for joint elasticity and maintenance. Ultimate Glucogel contains a 1-to-1 ratio of gelatin and glucosamine sulfate, which is a key building block of your bone matrix, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue. Gelatin's unique blend of amino acids not only help with muscle and joint health, but also has been shown to provide additional benefits for the brain, skin, and hair. Ultimate Glucogel. Natural, optimal daily support for joint health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
$99.5.
All right, welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here in the final moments of this Masterclass Monday with Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson, looking at the Constitution of the Bahamas. And I suspect that in our next sitting, God willing, next week, Monday, we're going to probably spend the entire show talking about 19 too, as it relates to the timing involved and the deportation process and the detention of a person as they're waiting to be deported from the country after having been found to have entered the country illegally, because this has been the center of arguments back and forth as to how long is a reasonable amount of time to hold somebody in detention before you are able to process them and deported. I believe the Attorney General in that article that I would have quoted from the Tribune, they were arguing that 3 months is a reasonable amount of time to go through the process to have somebody deported, whereas the argument on the opposing side was that 48 hours. You need to have this done within 48 hours. So this is going to be an interesting one for us to look at. Like I said, next week, I suspect, Professor, that the entire show is going to be dedicated to this one particular article and some paragraph.
that is very
interpretation of that,
that is very important, because see, if the Constitution says specifically a reasonable period of time, and you will find that in the Constitution.
And who determines what is reasonable? That's the question.
That's the question that needs to be asked. And so that should have been determined long ago. But if the Constitution gives a specific period of time, like it talks about in Article 7, a 1-year window of opportunity for persons who are eligible to apply to be a citizen of non-Bahamian parents born in the Bahamas. That is very specific and very clear. And you got people arguing over that. So I'm saying to you, once the Constitution gives a specified period of time, as it has done with a naturalization, but you got still people say they ain't checking for the Constitution. They're doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so there are times when it says a reasonable period of time, justifiably reasonable justification. Those are kind of terminologies in the Constitution. So you have to have statute law to determine what is reasonably justifiable, what is a reasonable period of time.
And for the record, I know we have to wrap this up because we only have a minute left, but for the record,
yes,
there have been times when people have been held beyond what anybody could consider to be reasonable, because quite frankly, they fell between the cracks and were quite frankly forgotten. I remember the case of a Japanese gentleman who was held in jail for
that's correct.
many years without even getting proper process through the courts. Tried to commit suicide once or twice because he was so desperate. Once
and that is
finally.
That is why you have
make it quick. It's 4 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock. So we got to wrap this up.
I'm going to take 20 seconds. But the thing is that the Bahamian people have to understand that you have to put pressure on your leaders, your representatives, the governor of the day, to make sound decisions and good judgments in our interest, so we don't have to keep losing our taxpayers' dollars to these cases. That doesn't make any sense. Let me stop right there.
All right. So God willing, I'll see you next week. Next week, Monday, God willing, we'll both be back at the same place, same time to dive deeper into 19.2, because this is going to be very, very powerful. So thank you, Professor, for your time. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. And God willing, we'll be back next week, Monday, eh?
God willing. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. That's the time, guys. It's 4 o'clock. Got to get out of here. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to tune in tomorrow when we're going to have another eye-opening show planned for you. Don't miss it. Until then, I'm Michelle Malcolm once again. Thanks so much for being a part of GPS. Have a good afternoon.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not
Everybody knows that I love to chill out with great music. There's only one place you can get this.